30 EDA is in session. Before we get started, I'd like to recognize Juan Peltrail from Caterpillar is no longer going to be on our group. He has taken employment elsewhere, which means he can't be on this group because he is self-employed now. We have made a exit letter for him.
Yep.
Which I want to make sure that we want to have an intake and exit letter for anybody who signs and joins this group, that we show their appreciation. And I want to make that an official policy. So what do you guys think about that? Can I get a motion on that?
I'll motion that we.
It just means that they're thanking you for their service, but you know,
Yep.
it's not just a cup and a thank you, it's an actual piece of paper that they can hang forever on their wall. You okay with that?
Yeah.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Did you say you can't hear us?
No, he's fine.
Yep.
Okay. So Juan won't be visiting us anymore at this point. Okay, so we're going to need approval of agenda. Let's have some information on that. You guys like the agenda we got today? I'd like to add some things to it, or a thing to it, which would be we want to re-add the spur to this because I hear there's some revisited information.
Okay, where would you like to add that?
Let's keep that under old business. And then we covered the intake and exit papers for all commissioners on this board. Good to go?
Yep. Yep.
Approval of agenda?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda, approval of the minutes of April 15th, 25. Has everybody had a chance to get through that and anything want to change? Look accurate?
Yeah, it looks accurate.
Approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda, approval of minutes. Now, it wasn't Jack our treasurer,
Jack's the treasurer.
and Juan was our backup treasurer?
Yeah.
Okay.
That puts it back on Scott.
Well,
Just kidding.
we should probably put it on Super Dave here if you want in. Would you be okay with doing that?
Yeah.
I mean, as an interim, Jack's still our primary.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, because now we have to scramble to find a new guy. Okay, well then we want to make sure that you're up to speed on our finances. Looks like you have a nice printout of that too. Were you going to bring something up on that?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, is treasurer support, you go right ahead and we can listen from there.
Sure. Well, I don't know who can answer this exactly, but on the spending report that we received, it shows $9,300 roughly of interest year to date, and then it shows a negative balance of the same amount. I'm not quite following what that's telling us.
Yeah, that's a Zach question.
That's going to be a Zach question
Yeah.
for sure. He'll be here at some point,
Yeah.
so we can
Yeah.
ask.
Okay.
We can bring it back up.
Yeah, I'd just like to
Table for now, then you're okay?
understand it. Yeah.
Okay. Summary of non-residential inquiries. John, I think it's on you.
So we've already approved the consent agenda.
Well, after we finish C.
Okay. That's true. So there's a report. We started doing this last month with just kind of inquiries that the staff is receiving for non-residential properties. It's formatted a little differently than, I don't have it on the screen, than what it was last month, and we'll probably continue to make tweaks on it until we find a system that works well. As it's noted in the report, the user or the caller, whoever it is, always going to be anonymous until we have a land use application. So this is just easier for us. We have some people that are sensitive and some that are not. It's easier for us to just say, treat everyone the same. The contacts are color-coded to try to track what the conversation strings are. So otherwise, it's 2 pages of phone calls and emails that don't make any sense to anyone but staff. With it being color-coded, you can kind of see where the statuses of how often, what is the frequency of conversations that we have.
So is this listing every contact then? I see some of the same sounding projects on there
Yes.
several times.
Yeah, well, yeah, and that's the
Different
reason for the
dates.
color coding, so, otherwise it would look like we get, say 100 different contacts when it's only 10.
Okay.
So, any questions?
Anybody?
I just noticed quite a few manufacturing facilities listed. I think that's really
Yeah.
good.
It is. So DEED and Greater MSP is putting out a big push to attract more manufacturing companies to Minnesota. And so when you see on the status where it lists Minnesota DEED, that's a project where DEED has pushed it out to the different communities, and we've responded to at least one of them in this case. We receive it, it's fairly infrequently, but it kind of comes in waves. So in the month of April, I think there were 3 DEED projects we're working on. Sometimes we get a project that comes in, or DEED pushes out, and like, that's not going to fit in Dayton, so we're not going to go after it.
Answer your question, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's have a consent agenda on this. We have approval of the consent agenda? Motion?
Make the motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we have one open forum here today. I think like the second one in history of all 8 years. Come on up.
I'm not sure if I'm in the right place here. My name's John Williams. I'm at 13620 North Diamond Lake Road. And this is in regards to the proposed bike path, the redevelopment of our front yard. As we're aware, our house is the most affected by this proposed bike path. It's anywhere from 10 to 30 feet. As I understand it, it's going to be taken out from the front. My wife and I, we're not opposed to any of the city projects, but we are concerned about the existing parking capacity of our house. And it was brought to our attention that it might be best that we brought this to this forum here in regards to possible redevelopment of existing parking structures, not knowing how much of our front yard is going to be taken out. So.
We don't know if this is HRA or if this is main council, but we had the conversation, and he's here just to make sure that we turn this on, regardless of where it ends up in the city.
Yeah. So the EDA primarily deals with economic development versus trails.
I understood that.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Okay.
HRA, because they want to
HRA
redevelop his
for
property
us,
to
yeah.
change lights and power and front yard, and so I just figured if this is an HRA gig, kind of we should be at least on task. That's all this is about.
Okay.
Just to open the door.
Does he need to know anything else? Do you guys need to know anything about what this is going on, or just now that we have him on the record, he's got his fill out there?
When is this proposed?
We're not sure. I talked to several people, Zach Dowd and the mayor. He came by the house the other day. And he discussed monetary compensations. We're actually interested in other forms of compensations, where it's not necessarily monetary. We understand that our house, when we bought it, we didn't understand that the development was going to happen, so it's changing our thoughts a little bit. Few options that we have ahead is dependent on how much is going to be taken out. We don't know that yet. Anywhere from 10 to 30 feet is from what we understand. But we're willing to work with the city. We're not opposed to the system. It's just bring it to this forum. Forum might free up possible options that we have in the future. That's all.
Sure.
Yeah.
Might help, are you east of Vicksburg or west of Vicksburg?
Vicksburg, North Diamond. It's North Diamond.
Oh, North Diamond.
North Diamond and-
Okay.
extension to connect Berkshire.
Oh, okay.
Vinewood.
Yeah, and you had an answer on when it was going to happen, right? Or the proposed?
Well,
That's all we
so there's
saw.
a few things here. The project's under review right now. There's an alternate alignment being explored, which would not extend along your property. More recently, we're hitting troubles with land right acquisitions for the crossing itself, which might affect the project also. So not sure if the project's going. If it does, not sure of the alignment yet. So If I can get your contact info, I'd love to go through the details with you. I can maybe get a copy, they'll
Okay.
need that, but I can go through it in more detail, where we're sitting with it and what we're looking at and the likelihood.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay.
Anything else?
No, that's it.
You can leave that right there if you want.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Nice to meet you.
Is anybody online for open forum?
If you're interested in speaking during the open forum, please use the raise your hand function on Zoom.
That thing on?
If you're interested in speaking in the open forum, please use the raise your hand function.
Anybody on the, okay. Okay, we'll close open forum if there's nothing else. Old business, any updates on there besides adding the spur question back to that list?
No additions. Flower pots, we've got 3 that are available. We've pushed this out on Facebook and the city webpage. We've had a couple that have commented since that's been pushed out. So we still have 3 flower pots that are available. That's at $125 sponsorship.
Didn't we buy those up last time? Didn't we
No.
agree to take them all?
The direction from the EDA was to push it out to the public before
First.
the EDA members.
When's their
except
deadline?
There isn't one.
There's one.
So there's an exception for Dayton Wine and Spirits, so Jack is being on the EDA and also having business in Old Town, so he would be an exception.
Okay, well, if you want to push that forward, let's go ahead and I'll put one on there.
Okay, do you want to keep it open to the public before,
Oh, well, there's no deadline, so when do we start?
it's up to the EDA?
Okay, how about we just fill them up and when they sell, they sell?
Okay, well, if you're buying it, they're going to sell. Like, they'll be sold. So,
So do you want to,
it's up to the EDA.
okay, what do we want to do, guys? Want to buy them and come as first come, first serve?
I mean, I'll buy one.
They're already at that point where they should be
They're already
planted.
planted, so I don't think it matters that much. I mean, the 3 of us, if he's in, you're in, I'd be in. I mean,
Okay.
let's let it just go till the June meeting, and then if they're not filled, then let's just pull the trigger. They're already planted right now, so it doesn't matter when.
Are they in place?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's all done.
So we'll do it till June, and if not, 3 of us buy them up. You okay with that, Sean?
Yeah.
I'm willing to contribute.
All right, let's do that so we can burn that up. Damaged band utility boxes. Any traction on that, Jan?
No, we're still limited on the amount of staff time that we can put into it, so the plan is we would have an intern from Stantec that would do this. There's costs associated with it, so the recommendation that we have for the EDA or the request is that you forward this to the council and have the council direct staff of whether we should pursue this or not.
It's not just Dayton that's having this problem. Drive around Champlin too, see that.
Oh, drive around anywhere.
Yeah. I think that it's a system they're just dumping, and it is what it is, and then later in life maybe they take them out, I don't know. Looks pretty bad though. Look at that. That's insane. But I do believe that our council has given us some teeth in this, that if they don't want to play games, then they can deal with that. So
File a
we do have an
complaint
out on that,
against the
if I believe so.
Yeah, there were a few options that I think I sent Hayden a while
Yeah.
ago about how you can handle these guys.
So we got some tools in our box?
Yeah.
Okay. Sidewalk in front of,
The question though is I'm looking for direction from the EDA of, again, our staff's recommendation is that you have the council direct staff to pursue this or not.
And do we want council to take this over and keep running with it?
And the reason why I say that is it's right away, the issue is within the right of way ordinance. This isn't necessarily an EDA function
I see.
as much as it is a council function.
Okay. Scott?
Yeah, we can certainly, I mean, I don't know if we're gonna get any farther, and I don't have a problem with it.
Well, I'm gonna deal with it either way. But it seems to me if we're gonna spend money to have Stantec go out and do this inventory, then that should probably come from council funds. And so it should be a council decision then.
So do we need a motion on that, you guys, with that, or that we're going to pass it over to main council? Is that what we need, John?
Yeah.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, I would motion that we do that. We're not getting anywhere here in 6 months.
Yeah.
Nothing.
So let's do that. Let's have a motion, and we'll transfer our B over to their agenda.
All right, I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The utility damage boxes was, let Stantec handle it at the main council level. Is that the direction you're looking for?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay, sidewalk repairs, Oak Village. I see right there they did some cutting on that one to keep it from tripping.
Yes.
I see in front of Jack's place, that looks pretty rough there. Is this another main council question?
Well, yes, but the sidewalk in front of Jack's store is Hennepin County.
Oh.
So again, in the staff report, when there's a difference in elevation by a 1/4 inch, that would be repaired by the city. So the example on the right where we're grinding the sidewalk down because the tree's pushing it up, we would continue to do that. The city's portion of the sidewalks are planned to be replaced in 2031. That potentially could include the removal of the trees that are causing the problem. So there's an overall question of is the fix worse than the repair? That's not something that needs to be answered now. That's a few years off. Hennepin County, as far as replacing the sidewalks go, I don't believe that's within the next 5 years. So the sidewalk cracks will stay there until they get worse.
I didn't hear him until right now. Did you know that?
No. It makes sense, it's there right away.
So how does it work when it's pushed that far out, but yet it's a violation?
You're on the right?
Yeah, you said it over a 1/4 inch or gaps that are wider than a half, whatever. I read it in there.
Yeah, we just grind the concrete down.
Okay.
Well, I'm just trying to avert a trip hazard, and that looks like trip hazards.
Yep.
So on the left, if someone falls in that pothole there, they're calling the county and suing them, and on the right, they're going to sue us? Is that how that lands?
Yep.
Well, that seems kind of preemptive, doesn't it? But no way to fix it besides cut them down.
Or replace it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thoughts on this?
Fix it.
Well, kind of what I was thinking. There's no fixing it for us.
I wouldn't
except
even
for-
talk to the county. If you're gonna do it, just do it. I mean, you're talking about a yard of concrete.
So what is staff looking for from EDA at this?
Nothing.
Okay.
I guess my only question, this has been on the agenda for 3-4 months. Do you want to keep it on?
Well, let's just get it done. I mean, I would say just go ahead and fix it, but
How do we push that button?
Send it to the council.
You want us to send this up to council as well?
I mean, in my opinion, Marty could fix that in an hour one morning, maybe 2 hours.
I see it as exposure and liability.
Yeah.
And Jack sees it as an income to his business, which now becomes a function of the EDA. It's now,
Yeah.
deblighting the area, shall we say.
To me, if you wait for the county, you're wasting your time.
Well, and we'll align with our timing agenda too. We got a parade coming up, and if something happens then, I mean,
I don't know how long the crack's been there. I'm guessing it's been there for years.
okay. So what do we want to do with this, guys? Do we want to elevate it to the next level, or do we want to say have them fix it, or how do we proceed with this?
I would say we move it up to council and see if they agree with us and if they want to move forward with some sort of fix.
Right, because they have the money.
Just mention, these are 2 examples that photos that I took. They're not complaints from any of the property owners necessarily.
The one on the left is,
Okay, we have sidewalks all over the city. So I guess the question is, are we fixing it as residents or business owners complain, or are we doing it more proactive and for every sidewalk?
I think we
That's a
should.
council direction.
We should have that discussion at the council. I lump it into the same approach that we're taking with roads, that we are trying to maintain a certain level of condition, and I don't know why sidewalks would be any different. I don't think we should have to wait for somebody to fall down or complain about it. We should take care of it.
Yeah, to me, the Public Works should have some sort of a gauge on where's the problem. I'm sure we don't.
And it's also, I guess, being proactive and fixing things as we see them versus letting them build up for 5 years, and then all of a sudden it's a huge expense.
Yep.
Like you said, Marty could fix something, him and his crew could do something in an afternoon and fix it versus waiting 5 years until it's a big problem.
You looking for a motion here on this?
Sure.
Okay, I guess we're gonna push this up to council level and let them have that discussion so they can get it fixed. That motion?
I'd
Make
make
sense?
that motion. However, I would say that we should be, I don't know, I'm assuming there'll be a council meeting between this meeting and our next EDA meeting. So if we could get a report back on that as well, maybe on both the items.
Okay, would you do that next? Okay.
Yep.
All right, all in favor?
Needs to be a second.
I'll second.
Second. All opposed? Motion passes. Legislative bill updates. Who wants to do that?
Yeah, Mr. President, members of the EDA.
Oh, dude, we can't, I know.
Can't hear? All right, I will speak up. Looking through the existing bills that are within the legislature for the city of Dayton, at this time, I have not seen any language included in omnibus bills that have been reviewed related to these 5 requests here. I know that from my understanding, they are calling for a special session to wrap up the budget discussions here later this month. And we will keep you posted, but at this time, there has not been much change between last month's meeting and this month, so.
Yeah, my sources down there said that they have bunch of stuff to get handled first before they start pushing that button. I did make that call. And I says, whiskey thing of Ostrov, what's going on here? And he says, well, you can't get it past it if we can't get enough base dollars. There's not even been talk of the cities getting any money until they get the budget straightened out. But he's still on task trying. That's the official word I heard from one of the guys writing the checks. So, to sum up what you just said, yes. We'll find out tonight, right? Is that tonight the last night?
Last night was the last night. I don't know if they called the meeting or the special session for today or not. I don't think they've set a schedule yet for that.
Okay.
But last night was basically the deadline at 11:59, and they didn't make it, so.
That, the one of those last minute deals, they throw it in there. Okay, moving on from the updated bills, new business.
Lent property. So this is a discussion about a Lent property concept plans. We have a couple of people, well, 3 people here from Stantec. And I'm going to hand it off to Sarah.
Can you hear me, or do I need to come up there?
It'd be easier, you can have more control up here.
Please get really loud.
Okay. The acoustics, you never know what the acoustics are going to be like. So thank you for having me. I'm Sarah Harding with Stantec. We were tasked with developing some high-level conceptual ideas for the Lent property and surrounding area, including the Refsland section, which, if you can see my cursor, is the area in red, along with this area that is privately owned right now. How do I
Just
move
use
it?
there.
There, okay. So we started with, and I'm sharing just a few photos of the view from this parcel, because when we started looking at this site, it kind of came to fruition that there's a great connection to the water. So we wanted you to see the photos here, just to familiarize yourselves with the amenity or the opportunity for an amenity space because of that shallow connection to the water. Here's a view from Lent across Reflands to the river. And for kind of contextual purposes, this is the Historic Village Framework Plan that you have already seen. But in blue, we are looking at, or this blue area on my cursor is the property in question. There's the survey. So where we get into this is we developed 3 bubbly kind of diagrams, ideas for what this space could be to really make that connection to the water's edge and the Crow River and take advantage of that. So we've developed one that's looking more at larger group gatherings, event venue opportunities, where there's open space and unprogrammed access to the water's edge, but you have an indoor-outdoor venue. The second option is looking at how can we make a connection to the water, but also provide consumables or needs of folks that are maybe getting on or off the water across the street at the boat ramp. Get a bite to eat, get some ice, I don't know, some uses like that. That might be an outfitter, you might need things to a rental or items like that. But this would be more of a terraced building approach with indoor-outdoor uses, deck space, and terraces leading down to the water's edge. With the third option, we call this the flex space catalyst. It's a lower, how do I say this? A lower capital cost investment. The buildings are flex spaces. They might have roller doors, but they're kind of a elevated open air pavilion. There's some, because of the development in the floodplain, this whole parcel is in the floodplain. This would provide that flexibility and less impact to development in a floodplain because it wouldn't be an insurable structure. But this would give you opportunities to have rentals, the space being rented out. It could be open air markets or a whole host of kind of flexible uses. Doesn't kind of pin you down to, say, just a restaurant or just a strict commercial establishment. And, oh, that's the wrong way. So I think that's a high level, just throwing some ideas out there for you. I'm open to then comments, questions, discussion.
Show me a picture of the one that does not include the property next to it. It would more resemble that. Like you think of the first one?
This one?
Is that the one? Okay, so now where G is, that's the current owner, correct?
G is the Refsland
Yes.
property.
Yep.
Okay, so if we don't qualify for state funding, this is kind of a path.
So we've had discussions and we're going to talk more about this in closed session. All these 3 concepts include both properties, so the EDA's property and the neighboring property.
Do we have any concept plans that does not include the
The neighboring property, no.
No.
Shouldn't we have one of those?
Our direction.
All these 3 concepts require parking. If we're going to just look at the EDA property, that changes the function of the redevelopment plan, where we're probably looking at maybe like an office or some type of retail, not a public venue like this. Something that doesn't generate traffic is what we'd be looking at. And I think kind of my sense from the EDA is to look at something bigger than that.
Well, we couldn't anticipate the state funding level either at that point. So that's why we were pushing on that number.
EDA does have money.
Okay, I have no other questions. How about you guys?
You know, I find the option 2, brewery outfitter, I'm not sold on the brewery, but I think the outfitter aspect of it goes good with the river, and simply because I'm a fisherman. I've been up that river. You can't get up that river. This whole area is sort of landlocked by rapids. Now, canoes, kayaks, that would be just fine. And it seems like, you know, if that's a way to go, maybe a cooperation with Champlain and their Mississippi crossings so that people can come to Dayton, rent a canoe or a kayak, go to Champlain, leave it there, you know, and of course, it's a win-win on both sides. You know, what we do up here with, you know, before they start, you know, is questionable because it is in a floodplain.
What do you do in the winter?
Well, you wouldn't do anything. I mean, you know.
It's a tough sell to somebody here, put up all this business and then do
Well,
nothing during the winter.
That's what I agree. It's only basically a 4-month business.
So when they've got it highlighted as brewery/outfitter, it would certainly make sense that you'd have something to do in off-season.
Yeah, if we could get people to come to Dayton for a brewery.
That they'll show up.
And from March to May, if it's in the floodplain, you know, can that be mitigated?
So your question here was just that? You were,
Well, it kind of fascinated me. It caught my attention. And,
I will just add that I think the thought process here was that there's already a boat ramp and launch. The outfitter could provide another opportunity for different kinds of on-water access, like canoe kayaks. But there would be other uses in this space, or food or beverages of some sort that could accommodate, not accommodate, but yeah, accommodate the uses that people, or needs that people might have when they're getting in and out of the water, or they've been fishing, and they're like, I'm hungry, let's get grab a bite to eat.
Yep.
It's really close. Is there an opportunity to expand that into multi-seasons? Maybe there's, with fat tire bikes or rentals of that sort of type of thing in the wintertime. There isn't a market analysis done at this point in time to be able to say what could be.
it's in the wind. It's a moving
Yeah.
target. I got it.
Right.
It's a very, I want to say this is like high level, kind of get our ideas flowing.
I mean, you could move this upriver too. I mean, Monticello, you know, to Dayton. I mean, it could be a whole.
Monticello, I believe, does have an outfitter. We are working with the National Park Service on a water trail, just water trails. So similar to bike trail, but it's on the river. That runs, you know, essentially from this point to L.C. Stevens and in Champlain and farther, you know, I think it goes all the way to Minneapolis. So your point of, you know, having an outfitter here and, you know, stopping whether it's L.C. Stevens or at the Mill Pond in Champlain, I mean, that's another city, another conversation.
Right.
But those are all possibilities.
You think about Rockford, you know.
Well, we got to keep moving on this. We got a closed session.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
Nice
question.
Nice
nice
job.
drawings.
This is your plan, and we need direction from you.
I certainly, personally, I don't see there any reason going after the other property without an idea. And my question would be, currently, the piece that's owned now by the state, by EDA, we can't build nothing on that? Or as big as the garage?
I think what not that it can't be built on, it's just that if you're going for a space or a property that takes advantage of that water access, there is probably a draw of and a need for parking to accommodate that draw. I think, John, you had said that you looked at maybe an insurance kind of a building or structure. That wouldn't have as much vehicular activity or parking need. But that isn't a use that takes advantage of that water access. So this was an alternative to look at.
Yes. So the property, the Lent property as it is, the only area that's above the floodplain is the garage, essentially, the upper garage. If we're going to redevelop it, we're going to have to mitigate some of the floodplain, and the question is, how big of a structure would we build, and how much of the floodplain do we have to dig out to compensate for that? So we have the 3 concept plans. I guess my question from the EDA is, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to pursue it more, or do you want to, I don't know, go start over again and look at a commercial use that doesn't generate traffic, doesn't need the property?
I think we should kind of wait until we see where we land with our funding. Now, you say we have money in our account to do this.
Yes.
I don't want to hear any numbers. I just want to know that if we get this money and we actually take over this other piece, when do we start that negotiation?
When directed.
Okay. Let's leave it right here for now until we find out where funding's coming from. So there is no direction yet. I want to put this in standby.
Okay.
And leave it right here for now. You guys agree with that?
That's fine.
Moving on, let's take B, 6B, new business forfeited property. I want to put that into my closed session with AIG.
Okay.
Attorney, we good with that?
Yeah, I understand that AIG will be representing the, more like appraisal information, and so that is appropriate for the closed session.
Okay. Mission statement. Oh, we're going to move this one. Anybody want to update our mission statement? I've been looking at it and kind of reading it, and it's been an old toothpaste style version. Just a quick update if we want to go and rewrite something. Update it. Quick and dirty.
I mean, we can definitely look at it, and
We want to put suggestions in and then let us pick it as a group, see which one we like the best. Is that what we want to do? Scott?
Sure.
No
I
matter?
don't have a preference.
Okay.
I think it's good that we update it.
Kind of adds a little bit of edge. The other seeing the same old thing and then.
Well, now
Okay.
we have things change.
So we'll make an update, we'll present something to John, and then we'll come back and vote on it? So do we need a motion for that?
No, because you're not taking any action.
I'm sorry?
You're not taking any action.
Okay.
Unless, I mean, so Tim, you have proposed language now. Do you want to take action on that?
That we're going to change it?
Yeah.
Do we need action for that?
If you want to change the mission statement.
I'm okay with changing it.
I'm okay with changing
Now
it.
we need a motion to change, right?
Motion to change
As it's written on the.
as it's proposed.
Okay.
okay, I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries? Did we get enough ayes and noes?
You need 4.
Oh. Okay, so no?
I took a quick look at it, and I just was a little bit uncertain if it wasn't tucking a little bit out of our scope. I don't have a suggestion on what to change on it, though. I didn't look at it that close.
Is that the one I sent in?
Yep.
Okay, what would you want to do? You want to leave it alone?
Well, I don't think the one that we currently have describes what we do very well at all. It's kind of a general statement
Yeah.
around Dayton.
Yeah.
The,
No pressure, no.
maybe the.
We're all watching.
Yeah, I know. Maybe the sentence I'm struggling with a little bit is we prioritize projects that align with infrastructure, land use, and long-term fiscal health. Is that aligned with the city's priorities, or is that
Mhm.
this committee?
Cities, I mean, our land use. That's, you guys set the land use.
Right. So what do we mean by infrastructure? That there's available infrastructure that,
Well, if we start building roads and we start building pipe in the ground and we start building, I mean, if the infrastructure's there, we'll build and we'll guide towards that.
Take advantage of it, like the railroad spur.
Yeah. You want to change something, you go ahead and switch that out. It just made the most sense. I took all of them, put them together, and what are we doing today? And we can table it too. We don't have to worry about this time.
yeah, maybe give me a little bit to.
Let's table it for next session.
A little bit.
Okay, I need a motion for tabling.
Motion to table?
I second the motion.
Motion to table?
Sure, yes.
Second, all in favor?
I,
All opposed. Staff board updates.
What do we got? This came up the last meeting, and I apologize, I wasn't here. Postcard. So the direction from the EDA was to send out a postcard to all addresses. We did put a full-page advertisement in the Dayton Communicator. I did want to wait a little bit and not send this out back-to-back and then drop the ball on it. I guess my question for the EDA is, do you still want to send this out? So it's about $1,800. I'll note that depending on what the EDA chooses later in this meeting, you're not going to have money to fund this program. So I guess my suggestion is to hold off on advertising it.
But it's already in the Dayton Communicator.
Back in, I think, January or February. January it was.
will it be in the next one?
If there's room and you'd like to advertise for it, there's no extra cost with it. I will say from the January advertisement, we did get 2 inquiries. One of those was from a business that would qualify but wasn't ready to apply for it. The second was from a home business that wasn't qualified.
I would say we just run it again in the Communicator.
That's right. I mean, we should take advantage of the communicator. Every time it comes out,
Right.
there should be an EDA update, and, the citizens should know that there is an economic development authority in Dayton, and what our mission statement is, and the projects we're working on. I mean, people are hungry for information about Dayton, especially with everything going on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially Channel 5 News and then 11 News.
Yeah.
We had all that stuff in the world. So if anything, now's the time you hit it hard to say, okay, here's where we're at. So you want to just do the Communicator for now?
For now.
I think so.
Okay, Communicator.
Just a question, John. A few minutes ago, you said EDA had money, now all of a sudden it can't.
Yeah,
Well, that crossed my mind too, but I didn't want to call them on
What
it.
It
was
depends on how you want to spend it. So, I used to work with someone that said you can do anything you want, but you can't do everything you want.
Well, we wouldn't spend it down to the last penny anyway, but. Okay,
Pause.
that's fine.
Well, I think the communicator, everybody reads it. You get a card from the EDA, how many people are going to throw it away as junk mail.
Or not read it, but this is a specific goes in your hand. We'll just pause it for now, okay?
Dayton-wide garage sale, the first weekend in June, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. What else? Moratorium, the council adopted moratorium in, I'll say, the south portion of Dayton, so this is generally speaking the 13th Avenue Industrial Park. We've got a concept plan that was reviewed for a large industrial building A question came up on the street orientation, and so the council's direction was to kind of pause development within that area and figure out the road corridors, as well as the land use. So the moratorium goes from April until October. There'll be more news on that within the next month or two. Any questions on that? No.
Ready?
Planning Commission vacancy, for anyone that may be interested, the commission has a vacancy as well as the EDA. I'll just make a note that Juan's resignation will go to the next council meeting. Assuming the council accepts it, we'll post it for the EDA vacancy. Generally, we try to wait for a month before filling it, or a month before appointing.
Well, as a legacy, we might have his new replacement to take his spot here too and to finish his term, so we have that option as well. Like King Solutions did with,
Yep.
yeah, okay,
So that person would have to be appointed, though.
correct. I get you.
Okay, closed session.
Wouldn't anybody that gets accepted into that position now be finishing the term?
Yeah, so Juan's term expires in December. But yeah, so it'd be we'll call it a 6-month term.
Okay. Closed session, ready?
Yep.
Pursuant to Minnesota State Statute 13D.05 subsection 3C3, closed session shall be conducted to develop or consider offers, counteroffers, and purchases of sale or resale of personal property located at 18771 Robinson Street. PID number 36212123410020. Closed session is now in. Our next EDA meeting will be on Tuesday, June 17th, 7:30 a.m. We have a motion to pull the pin.
I do have one question, just for clarity, with the concept plans review, the direction was to just hold off on it, not bring back anything?
Until he gets us some good solid numbers on the
Yes.
secondary use, right?
Do you want,
Stand by.
do you want another plan for the secondary use?
Just an L shape?
Yeah.
To Scott's point? Or Plan B?
I think you should.
Okay. What do you guys think about Plan B on that?
Yes.
Okay, you guys? I think it makes sense what he's doing, but I don't want to spend $8,000 on it.
I think you already
It's
spent the
spent.
$8,000.
Hey, what do we get for $450? Start negotiating? So we should have some high-level concept plans for, or plans.
Low level,
Low level?
not very high.
Oh, no.
Well, it certainly would give us the option of making decisions.
Plan B, it makes sense.
Okay.
So yes, do we have to vote on that?
No,
No,
No.
just direction.
just some direction.
Yep.
So L only.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Let's go take some aspirin. We're out of here.